What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am Augustine Versace. This is Onell Media, and you are awesome. So today I just wanted to get into a few examples to show you guys that you can and you will be in situations where you have to take pictures and you will not be able to use a flash. Now, I know having that flash gives your pictures that pop. It makes the light even. You can fight the sun, but there are certain situations where you won't have a light, and it's actually pretty nice to not use a light. So for my first example, I want to show you guys when you're inside incandescent light bulbs or whatever type of light bulb there may be. You do have options, and of course I like to use a lens with a fast aperture. Now, the lens that I used for this particular part of the shoot was my Sony 50mm 1.8. Yes, the nifty 50, it does come in handy. Even the standard 50 1.8, which isn't all that great with eye detection. I don't care what you say, it's just not, but it still comes in handy. So here are a few examples of that. Go over to your left. You ain't have to move your position. I like the position, but I want you centered so it can be symmetrical.
Okay, here?
Guys, yeah. Guys, just remember you try to keep things even on all sides. Even when your client wants to be hard-headed. And when you have a particularly picky client, make sure you show them how the lighting looks.
Oh, that looks nice.
Okie dokie. Cool.
Stripper
So we
arms.
good. Stripper arms.
Those are opens.
Always make sure you give yourself clearance up and down just in case you have to crop, which you usually tend to do just to get it perfectly symmetrical. I love to keep my shutter on because that lets my client know that I took the picture. Some of you guys are silent ninja shooters. That's not always great.
You silly. Leave the people alone.
As you can see, with this whack 50mm that Sony sells, even though it is a nice 1.8, I'm not getting my autofocus. Okay, sister girl.
What? I'm trying
So,
to get my
Aurora.
shots.
Excuse you.
Okay, well, since you asked. Okay.
Now, the next situation that I'm going to be showing you guys, I was outside. We outside, and the sun was coming from one side where I wanted to shoot. So you have high shadows, which is high contrast. Definitely wanted to keep the sky, but of course there's some post-production that you have to do in that. So I actually took these pictures. The back was somewhat blown out, but there was enough information there for me to get the clouds and everything back. And sometimes you will have to do that. So one trick or tip that I could give you is just make sure you're not too over or underexposed, so that way you can get all of your information back. And the second would be to take 3 pictures of one thing. You could underexpose one picture, expose properly the middle picture, and the last picture you could overexpose. And depending on your camera, you might be able to just have that as a 7. Just have that as a setting. Depending on your camera, you might be able to have that as just a setting. I, for one, shoot with the Sony a7 III, so that is a setting that I could have, that it brackets the photos. It takes one underexposed, one exposed, and one overexposed, so that you combine those 3 pictures and get everything that you need out of the picture. HDR picture, I know you guys have heard of it. It's a little feature that most phones have nowadays, and they can compute and do that when you take the picture themselves. But with a professional camera, there's a little bit more work going into that. But here's some examples of this. Check it out. Taking pictures of you zipping up your jacket is funny to me. I don't know why.
It's funny.
Yep. Slightly.
What is this all in here? Mask on mask on mask.
No, you got your phone in the pictures, right?
Yeah, I know.
You want it there?
What lipstick is this? Oh, red. What?
What lipstick is this?
I've been looking for this red lipstick. This one is fat. I guess it won't fit in my pocket.
Insert cash here. So once we get all these wide shots, I'm gonna switch out the lenses so we can get a couple of portraits just on this particular position. Then we'll switch to the next location. I'm taking wide shots right now, but once we get done with the wide, I gotta switch out the lens so we can do some portraits. Now, for that example that I just showed you guys, we were completely outside. But sometimes you can be in a situation where you have a nice big window and you're getting bright light coming from that window. And a lot of what I would do would be the same. Just make sure that you compensate for the glare that the window is gonna have and try to keep that out of your photo if you want to keep that out of your photo. But in some situations, you might want to put that into your photo. And I have an example of that later because I have a computer that shows a reflection. I think it's a great, nice contrast of the person. But for the window situation, check this out. You cute or whatever.
It might not be done, but
It might not be mine.
what? That might be true.
100% true. Alright, so let's take a look. I'm like, what, 2 shades behind you? I ain't got no way to talk. Let's see what we got. Ooh, just darken that up just a little. All right, now that you're back to me, this is when we're gonna go into this office setting. We do have a window in the office setting, but I wanted to use the actual laptop to show reflections. Also, I used the doorway to create some depth. I had the doorway itself coming partially into the photo, and with that coming partially into the photo, being out of focus, it made you draw your eye to the person, and I thought that was just a great way to have contrast, even if you have the light blown out behind your subject, which I did in that picture. Man, your phone blowing up. What's going on? I don't even get these
My
calls.
phone won't even blow up that much.
She getting a group call right now.
Hold on, mommy. Somebody's calling. Hold on. Hello?
Wow, she's gonna group video chat. Now her mama calling her back.
Hello?
Ooh, gave me another peep of Tom look.
Sometimes you get something in the foreground to show depth off. Get a better picture. See how this doorway is giving us more depth.
And for my final example, just being completely outside, facing the sun, so that the sun illuminates everything in the picture, and you could really have fun with that. The worst thing about that though is you fight with your own shadow. Try to keep your shadow out of the picture. You might have to go a further distance away and use a longer focal length, which is also pretty good because I was using 70mm at that point in time, and with 70mm, the picture is really compressed, and that's really nice for a portrait.
Yeah, stand over there.
I'm sorry about that last little bit of video. My daughter was filming. Thank you, Jordy. And with that being said, guys, if there's anything else you need to know, go ahead and give me some comments down there. I chop it up with you guys, man. I love you guys. We're a community here. And yeah, so make sure you're here every Tuesday. I have more tips, tricks, and tutorials. With that being said, peace. I love you guys.